Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Velasquez, a health officer for Spokane County. Thank you for joining us today. And today with me, to my right, we have a very important guest who's been here with us many times, Lisa Woodard, who is from the Spokane Clean Air Agency. And I always have trouble with the whole name. But she's a communications and outreach manager and someone that you've seen in our Facebook Lives before. So you're probably wondering, why is Lisa here? Well, I'm going to tell you why she's here, because Smoke Ready Week, as you know, if you've been outside, it's starting to get hot. There's a lot of stuff that is dry. And this is the time of the year when, after our partners, including the Regional Clean Air Agency and others, have come together for some planning, we come to the public to say, hey, we need to start thinking about wildfire smoke and air quality. So with that, I want to say welcome to Lisa. And I'm going to ask you the first question that everybody wants to know, which is, okay, so you piqued my curiosity. Where can I go to find out about information about air quality, and what can I do if things start to get a little bit more complicated, meaning the air quality starts to get not as good?
You bet. And it's particularly important during wildfire season because air quality can change rapidly. You know, the weather and where the fire starts are happening. The weather can push smoke in, out, and around us, so it can change quite often. So it's important to check out the locations where you can find air quality. And of course, we like to promote our website, which is SpokaneCleanAir.org. We provide a daily air quality forecast. We provide a today and a tomorrow forecast, and then we provide the hourly update to the AQI. So we do this through a network of monitoring sites that we have throughout Spokane County. Mm-hmm. And from those monitors, we report the highest pollutant and the highest value. So oftentimes during summer, it's ozone. It's not particles from smoke. Right. So unless we're in a wildfire event situation, it most likely will be ground level ozone. So we report the highest AQI and what the pollutant is, and then if you're interested, you can scroll down to a map that we have, and you can look at the monitoring site that's closest to where you live, if you want to get that extra data.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I hear a lot, well, I don't smell anything, so the air quality must be really good. And I go like, well, not necessarily.
That's right.
That's why it's always important to check. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I've heard that a lot. Well, I don't smell anything. How could it be any worse?
Yes, and it could be that one monitor is next to an event that's happening right there, like a house fire. So because we report the highest, it is important to look. But typically when we're being inundated with wildfire smoke, it's hitting all of our monitors.
Everybody
and it's pretty much shrouding our airshed with smoke.
Yeah, and you can see it and you can smell it, but many times you don't see it, you don't smell it, but it's still not good. So let me ask you a question, because we're all thinking about what are we going to do this weekend outside, probably, because the weather's going to be pretty good. What can we do to minimize exposure when the air quality is not that great?
Okay, so when it is smoky outside, the best line of defense, and again partnering with public health on this information, the best line of health is to reduce your exposure by staying inside. Now, if you are in a health-sensitive group, so if you're over 65 or older, if you're pregnant, if you are a parent of a youngster, if you have existing chronic health conditions, such as heart and lung issues, then you're probably not only going to want to reduce your time outside, but you're going to probably want to avoid your time outside. So it all depends on what level the air quality index is at the time, and then then there is corresponding recommendations on how to adjust your activities. But the first line of defense is typically reducing your exposure by getting away from the smoke, by being indoors.
Got it. Best way to avoid it, don't be there.
Right. But if you have to be outside, we know there are people that work outside, there are people that want to be spending some time outside, then face masks and N95s can work for some people if they're properly fitted.
So what about indoors? What can you do?
So indoors, one of the things that is really important that we get across is that when we're suggesting to people that they choose to spend more time inside, is that the inside air can actually be just as bad as the outdoor air if you're not taking precautions. So one of the things when it's smoky out is to make sure the windows and doors are closed. Now again, you got to pay attention to the heat. Right. If you don't have a way to stay cool, you're going to want to seek shelter somewhere else. But if you do have air conditioning, keep the windows and doors shut. If you have an air conditioning unit, you can turn it to recirculate mode. So you don't want fresh air intake on. And then there's things that we can do. And another kind of line of defense is using one of these portable air purifiers. There's a lot of different ones on the market. HEPA filter is the way to go. And you can purchase one of these and put it in a room, perhaps where you spend most of your time. So this is just an extra line of defense. But hopefully you've taken some steps before wildfire season. So you've serviced your HVAC system, you've got the best filters that your system can handle, and you've taken other precautions. Another thing I want to mention,
Sure.
when you're indoors and it's smoky
Yeah.
out, cutting back on activities that create pollution in your home. Vacuuming, dusting, candles, cooking, frying and broiling foods. Anything that's going to add those additional pollutants to the air, avoid doing that when it's smoky out.
So indoor grilling, not a good idea.
No.
Okay, just checking to make sure that we know. So let's, again, spring, schools are going to end, summer is coming. We're all thinking about, okay, so we have friends coming the next couple of weeks. How can we prepare ahead of time for the activities that will be most appropriate and in the event that the air quality is not going to be as good? What's the
Right.
best way to do that?
Right. Well, we've covered a few things, like, knowing where to find out what the air quality is, and then taking some steps when you're indoors. Another thing that you can do as well is making sure that, we talked about steps to keep your indoor air healthy, but having activities lined up, like you had mentioned.
Yep.
So if you are a parent of young children, are there library books that you can have on hand? Dare I say movies, but things to keep the kids occupied if they have to be indoors during a smoky event. Just having that lined up. If you are in a health sensitive category, so if you have, if you're on medications, if you have respiratory or heart issues, you'll want to have a plan in place ahead of time with your medical provider.
Right.
So that you know what steps that you personally need to take. Everybody is a little bit different. Everybody can be affected a little bit different with smoke. There are people who otherwise are healthy, but they are extra sensitive to smoke. Or you have the people who have some, health issues that make them more sensitive to pollution. So know your personal health status, have a plan in place with your medical provider and medications on hand before. And then when things get smoky, have activities and options that you can do if you're wanting to spend more time or should be spending more time inside.
Okay. So it's all about preparation.
Yes.
Knowing who's coming, what can we do, having alternative plans in the event that, because air quality can change, and if there's wildfire smoke, it can change rather quickly. And I'm glad you mentioned some of the indoor activities, because one of the things I hear a lot too is, well, if the air quality is so good and there's wildfire smoke, events are getting canceled, we can go wherever we're going to go. So we feel like we're stuck at home and we don't know what to do. So you talk a little bit about protecting at home. You mentioned the different age groups and being aware of people's not only age but also clinical conditions, so you can determine what best. And I have to say, I have seen, now that we have grandkids, that there are some, not that we encourage TVs or they do very little, but there's some really good educational programs that are very interesting, because for the purposes of quality control, I've watched a couple to make sure. So there's a lot of things we can do inside. What else can we do when we have that feeling that we're getting stuck inside, we can't do anything else? What else would you recommend that we can think about?
When we're stuck inside and we're not able to do the things that we normally enjoy doing, a lot of us live in this area because we love all the outdoor abundant opportunities that our Spokane area has to offer. And when we can't partake in our routine activities or our special activities, it can take a toll on our mental health. You can get, you're not doing that run or that hike that you enjoy doing, it can kind of wear on you. We've had years where we've had consecutive days of very high smoke levels. And, after a day or two, you start getting a little bit, fatigued on that.
Right.
And so we got to take care of our mental health. And part of that is just keeping those social connections.
Right.
Getting on the phone or FaceTime and staying in touch with family and friends. That's a big thing. And checking on your family and friends. You may feel fine, but someone in your life may not be feeling fine. So check in.
Great idea. So, we are social creatures, and part of our health and wellness presupposes that we're surrounded by a positive environment. That positive environment includes people. So making sure that it's not just screens, which nothing against screens, but we tend to do a little bit too much of that. But staying inside, I was talking to our friends from the Spokane School District, and as they have moved forward, they're engaged in real life for youth and young adults that are in K through 12. Board games are really nowadays very popular with children and youth and young adults, which I would not have thought about that. But I think knowing what can be done, being prepared for that, having your filter if you need it, making sure you close your windows if you have it, put the AC on recirculate. You can do it in your car too, by the way.
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
which
Yes.
is very important because if you're traveling, well, the air goes everywhere, including your vehicle. So make sure you do that. And very important, check on people. If you have someone in the age groups that you mentioned, or someone that you know it's been a little bit sick or has had some health issues recently, text them, pick up the phone, call them, FaceTime them, or whatever it is that you do to connect. And let's keep an eye on each other. I think that's a great thing to do. Any last suggestions for our audience today as we depart?
Well, I just want to thank you. It's been wonderful to partner with you and the city and county emergency preparedness and response agencies to really get information out, to help get information out about Smoke Ready Week, because that's what this is all about. It's about being prepared, hoping for the best, but being prepared for the worst. And if smoke hits us this summer, people will feel like they're a little bit more prepared. And in that light, we do have a new effort, and we've just launched a new website this week called SmokeReadySpokane.org. Smoke Ready Spokane. And it's just kind of a one-stop shop. You know, we have a little information on our Clean Air website. You guys have some information, other agencies, but it's one place where we can put our resources and hopefully make it easier for people to find, like where to find acceptable air purifiers, how to build a box fan filter, just different resources in one location.
Wonderful.
SmokeReadySpokane.org. Yes.
Okay, folks, so remember that SmokeReadySpokane.org, SRS, that used to be a car actually, but that's not the topic today. A lot of great information. As Lisa mentioned, one of the great things about the Inland Northwest is our beautiful outdoors. And there are ways for us to enjoy that in a safe way for all. And I do have to say thank you to all of our partners that work with us and that we collaborate with on clean air, wildfire smoke, and those issues, because I have to tell you, these folks don't stop half a year and then come back in the summer. The whole team, they have all been working together year-round to make sure that by the time we get to this time of the year, we're really, really ready with what we need to do in the event that we have to activate for whatever reason. So that happens behind the scenes. Most people don't see it, but I do want to give her credit, and you mentioned many of those, the city, the county, your agency, our agency, and many, many, many others. So with that, I'm going to say thank you to Lisa again. Thank you to the Spokane Regional Clean Air Agency for their long-term partnership and everything they do. And I will tell everybody, stay safe, stay well. This is going to be a good week, good weekend from a weather perspective. For those of you that are fathers or will be fathers or thinking about being fathers, well, happy Father's Day. That's coming up on Sunday. And we will see you again next Wednesday. Stay safe, stay well. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you.